Hi guys, my name is Shanny and I'm not wearing any pants or a bra. The only good thing about quarantine. Before I get into my little speech here, I just want to say thank you again to Ashlee for inviting me to be a part of this conference again. It's so cool that we have the internet, we have the technology to still bring you our spring conference for A Reason to Stand. It's just an incredible event that Ashlee created and it's amazing. And if you haven't heard her story or the other stories that are going to be speaking today, please go check them all out. I know that my viewers are really excited to see me do this, but I want you guys to also go and watch all of the other speeches because you're going to hear some amazing stories and you will be inspired, I promise you. But I just want to say that these women are some of the strongest women I've ever met in my life. Their stories are incredible and it gives me hope. Every time we do one of these conferences, it gives me a pep and is that a thing? Pep in my step. It makes me want to do better. And so thank you, Ashlee, for asking me back again. I don't know why you keep asking me back because I'm very inappropriate. Be prepared out there. Mom, sorry if I swear. Everyone else, I might swear, be warned, but I'll try and keep things appropriate even though the very first thing I told you was that I'm not wearing a bra. So I'm really excited to be doing this and I'm really nervous even though I talk to a camera every day, so I don't know what that's about, but let's get into this. So I've been thinking, oh, by the way, if you see blue paint on my hands, that's because I paint clearly. Hello. Hi, welcome. So I was trying to think what I wanted to speak about today. One thing that I love about Ashlee is that she really encourages us to just say whatever part of our story we feel would help people. And I never know what that is until I get up to speak. I always have notes, I always have thoughts in my head, but I never know exactly the direction my speech is gonna go until I'm actually doing it. And that's what I love so much about Ashlee. She collects like we're toys. She collects us and she just encourages us and prays for us and encourages us to just say what you feel needs to be said, because she's like that. She's a very intuitive person and she's a very spiritual and a connected person in every sense of the way. So I'm just gonna go, I didn't take any notes, so I'm just gonna go off of what I feel, I should say. So a little bit about my current situation, and then I'm gonna tell you kind of how I got there and share some important things with you. My current situation is that, hi, I'm Shanny, I'm 35 years old. I have been married to my husband for almost 16 years. We do not have children, we can't have children. I'll get to that in a minute. I am a YouTuber and my channel is called Educating Shanny, and there's my shameless plug, you're welcome, go subscribe. I talk about eating disorders, mental health, abuse, bullying, anything really hard I talk about, and then I also try and make it kind of fun and kind of lighthearted sometimes, and I like to try and attempt to sing sometimes. It's really cool, the community that I've built. If you're not a part of it already, please go check it out, because right now during quarantine, I've been going live every single night on YouTube, and it's been wonderful to get to know so many new people, and so many people have found friends with each other and made friends for life out of our community. And we're a very kind, accepting, and encouraging community. We all every day encourage each other to not give up and give each other pep talks. See, there's where the pep comes in. Okay, see, that was more appropriate. Okay. It's just a wonderful community full of people that are going through really, really shitty times. Sorry, crappy poop times. Sorry, Mom. Sorry. I want to share with you a little bit of my story, but before I do that, I want to say, because this keeps popping in my head right now, I wasn't expecting to do this, but something that my mom has always taught me. I love my mom. She's my best friend in the whole world besides my husband. I love her so much. I'm a total mama's girl. I've been attached at her hip since birth, literally, and she just moved like 25 minutes away from me, and it's been really devastating knowing that she's so far away, even though it's only 20 minutes away. But that's how much I love my mom. I love her so much. But something that she always instilled in me was that trials are a blessing in disguise. And I love this because my life has been full of a lot of trials. I'm going to share some of them with you, and I believe her. I know it because I've experienced it now, that every time I go through a trial, because I had gone through the previous trial, I was stronger because I came out of that trial. And so that made me stronger for the next trial. And then that trial was over and I got through it. And then that made me even stronger for the next trial. So I just love that message that my mom has always taught me and talked to me about. So I'm going to start my story at 5 years old. Okay. This is a picture I found. I happened to come across a bunch of pictures last night. So I'm like, oh, I should show them. This is a picture of me at 4 years old. This is about a year before everything went bad for me personally. When I was 5 or 6 years old, my mom had to go back to work because my dad couldn't work. He was sick and he had mental issues and all that stuff. And I was the youngest of 4 children, and I was only 5, 6 years old. My other siblings were all in school, so I was left home alone with my dad all day because I wasn't in school all day. And sadly, I was very neglected and abused in every way you can possibly think of. And to cope with it, would just eat. I would just eat and eat and eat. And we didn't even have like a lot of money growing up, but I would just eat whatever I could find. And then if I ran out of food, I would literally go like outside. I don't know why I was let outside at 5 years old, but I was. And I went around to the neighborhoods and I just like knocked on people's door and asked them if they had any food. And they must have thought that like my mom was starving me or something, but no, I just wanted to constantly be eating, and I had eaten everything that was in the house. So that's kind of where it started for me. That's where my eating disorder started. Binge eating disorder is an eating disorder, and that's how it started with me right after this. And I started to put on a lot of weight. This is me in, I believe, 5th grade, maybe fourth grade. Yeah, I think this is 4th grade. Which means I would be 10, maybe 10 years old here. I don't know. So as you can see, I gained a significant amount of weight in just a few years. And it was around this age that I was being bullied the most at school. There's one story that I will never ever forget. I was playing at the park, and so were probably 30 of my classmates. We all kind of lived in that small neighborhood, and we would all go play at the park after school together. So I was with like 30 kids, and I just remember standing there, and this kid comes in, my biggest bully came to the park, and I was like, oh great, this is gonna be great. And he comes up to me and he gets everyone's attention, and he pulls out a pornography magazine, and he opens the magazine to the centerfold where the lady's like naked, and he started in front of everybody pointing out everything that she had that I didn't, or that I had too much of that she didn't. So like he was like, look, because I got boobs in 2nd grade, y'all. I don't know why, but I did. Probably just fat, not boobs, but whatever. So he was like, your boobs aren't perky enough, and your stomach has rolls on it, hers doesn't. Your butt is ginormous and hers isn't. Your face looks like a balloon and hers is like beautiful and skinny. And that's what he did. It was really painful. And not one of those 30 kids that was around said anything. Not one of them stood up for me. Not one of them seemed, I don't know, I think maybe they were all scared of him too. He was a pretty well-known bully in the school. I don't know what it is, but that just makes me so grateful that these days, parents and schools are talking so much more about bullying, because bullying is a big issue. So a couple of years later, I noticed things getting really, 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 really bad at home. My parents were fighting a lot, and there was a lot of pain being put on me and other people. And my mom did her very best to protect us through everything. But it started to get too much, and this is around the time that I started my period, and I was really starting to realize at this time that boys didn't like me back because I was fat. And so that was kind of like in my head, but the only thing that made me feel better was to eat, so I kept eating. When I was about 13, 14 years old, my parents finally got divorced. This was around that time. I think this was right before that. They got divorced and it was a tough situation. I don't want to share exactly what went on, but it was just a very, very dangerous situation, and it's a miracle that we got out okay. But I'm so glad that that scary incident happened, and I would love to tell it if you ever come see me speak live. I will talk more about that, but on the internet I'm not comfortable sharing the details of that story of that last day with me and my family that allowed us to get away from my dad. Right after the divorce, that is when my bulimia started, because again, I'd been binge eating for so long and food was my comfort and I could not give it up. And I'm not really sure where I learned to purge, but I did. And I figured, oh, I don't have to give up food. I can still eat as much as I want and I'll just throw it up and it won't be a big deal. It's a big deal. So I started doing that. I also started self-harming myself. And at that age, I was also diagnosed with the first few diagnoses that I would be given in my life, fibromyalgia, endometriosis, and interstitial cystitis. I was diagnosed with it 14, 15 years old. So there just was kind of a lot going on that year, like everything was piled on. But it was also around this time that I kind of started admitting to myself something that I had been keeping in for years. When I was 6 years old, I realized that I was a little bit different because I was being taught that boys like girls and girls like boys. And if boys like boys or girls like girls, that's bad, you know? That's just how it was back then. Nobody talked about it back then. So I was terrified, so I kept it in. And I am bisexual. I only came out to my family just a couple years ago, and my husband, and I'm so glad that I did. It doesn't change anything, obviously. I chose to be with a man instead of a woman, and I love my man. I love my husband. He's not here right now, but I'll try and get him to come say hi in a minute. That's my hubster. Is he not adorable? Come on. But it's a big part of my story because I had to hold that in, and I would comfort myself with food again and then purging again. My mom got remarried to somebody else, so we moved in with him. I love him. My stepdad Rob and his daughters Liz and Julie are actually my best friends from childhood. We all knew each other growing up, and so we had already known these people before our families merged. And I cannot tell you how much I love my step sisters and my stepdad. They are just blessings, and their whole family is too in my life. Like, I love the Clydes so much. Anyway, so when I was 16, 17, that's when I started starving myself. My brother left for a mission for our church, and I decided that when he got back in 2 years, I wanted to be really skinny. So I started starving myself stupidly, started developing some other health problems, and I ignored them, obviously, and I was like, oh, I'm invincible, I'm really young, this isn't gonna do anything to my body. So I just kept it going, and it worked. I started getting attention from boys, I started getting attention from girls, I started getting praise from everybody in my life because they didn't know. I lied. Actually, it wasn't a lie technically. I said I was eating less and exercising more. But that just meant that I was eating barely anything and then exercising a ton. So I just think that's so crazy what Ed, which is what I call my eating disorder, that grasp that Ed had on me to like think that that was okay to do, to lie like that and to lie by omission or to just twist the words like that. And that's kind of stuff happens all the time with him because in my opinion, he's the devil. It's the same person. He's not even a person. He doesn't even have a body. That's why he's jealous of mine. That's why he wants to take over mine and make it sick and make me do things and put things in my path that will make it really hard so that I'll give in and do the bad things that he wants me to do because he's jealous he doesn't have a body. Anyways, and it was around that time that I met my now husband, Danny. Danny and I got married pretty quick. We got engaged on April Fool's Day. And yes, I am a terrible person, because when he asked me, how could I pass up an April Fool's Day prank when he proposes to me on April Fool's Day? So he proposed and I was like, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And he was like, but we bought the ring and everything. And I was like, April Fool's, just kidding. Do you all hate me now? Because I hate myself for it. That's like the worst thing I've ever done. Anyway, so April 1st we got engaged, 2004, and then July 2nd we got married. By the way, when I was engaged to Danny, my behavior stopped. All of my eating disorder behaviors. I wasn't purging, I wasn't overeating, I wasn't starving myself, I wasn't over-exercising, over-laxatizing, all of that. I was not doing any of that because I was so happy with him finally. Then right after we got married, he would go to work every day and I didn't know what to do with myself. I was too sick to work. My body has always had a lot of health issues. Like I was telling you before, there's other ones that I have too. I don't think I told you about all of them, but I don't remember what I already told you. I just have, endometriosis, fibromyalgia, interstitial cystitis, which is like cysts on your kidneys and bladder, acid reflux. I've had that since I was a baby. Irritable bowel syndrome, gastroparesis, which is where I can't poop on my own anymore. So out of boredom and pain and loneliness and not being able to work, I started binging again and purging. So that became my life again. And I put on a whole bunch of weight. I would fluctuate because I would go from bulimia to anorexia, but mostly just bulimia, binging and purging. I had a couple of jobs here and there during our first decade of marriage, but nothing super significant. I think the longest I ever worked was like 2 years at Robert's Craft Store, which is no longer. Rest in peace, not. You suck. So our lives were pretty, Danny goes to work, comes home, we eat dinner together, I go throw it up and try to hide it from him. And that was kind of our life for so many years. So I kind of wanted to pause for a minute and talk about suicide for a second. I've had suicidal thoughts since I was about 6 years old. And my first attempt was when I was 16 years old. And I kind of want to tell you what happened. And I want to tell you about my other attempts as well, because this is why I believe in God. And this is why I believe that miracles can happen. And I do believe in God. And by the way, I don't judge anybody else for whatever you believe in. In my opinion, as long as you believe in a higher power, something that's above you, so that you can humble yourself enough to go to your higher power to ask for help, I think that's what's important for all of us to have. So as long as, even if you believe in the air, the earth, Mother Nature, even if you don't believe in God, whatever you believe in, as long as it's something that's higher up than you, so that you can humble yourself to ask for help to get through this difficult life. So my first suicide attempt, I was 16 years old. I might have been 16, 17. I told my mom, who I believe had just had surgery, so she was kind of like in bed. And so I went and I told her that I was going to go to the football game, but really I was going to do something else. So I left, but I didn't leave. I pulled my car into the garage. I turned on the car, I shut the garage doors, and I rolled down all of my car windows. And just as I started to feel myself going and passing out, my cell phone rings and I pick it up and it's my mom. And she says, "Hey, do you mind picking up a gallon of milk on your way home?" And for some reason, because I've always been like this, and I feel like most humans are like this, that you don't want to hurt other people. So for some reason I was like, oh, my mom just had surgery and she needs milk, so I'm gonna get her milk. Like, that's the most important thing right now, is to get her milk. And I wasn't expecting that. Like, if anyone tried to stop me in my head, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna let them stop me. But just my mom, so simple, just needing some milk from me was enough to not make me go through with it that night. So I didn't. Fast forward to these next two stories, kind of go hand in hand, and technically they weren't attempts, but they were contemplations, I guess. Is that a word? Contemplation? I think it was 2009. I could be wrong. It might be 2010. I was preparing to kill myself. I had the idea ready to go. I was gonna wait till Danny left for work the next morning and set it up and take my life. And I was dead set on it. And that morning, really early, before Danny even got up for work, we got a phone call that said that my little stepsister that came from my dad's second marriage had taken her life at 19 years old. And she happened to take it in the same way that I was about to take mine. And super not easy to talk about, and also to respect her full siblings and the half-brother, little brother that we share. I'll end it there, but it was a very big wake-up call, and I would hate to say that anybody's death is like a blessing in disguise, but had that not happened, and had I not gone to her funeral the next week and seeing the pain in her mother's eyes and the pain in everybody who knew and loved her and her two little babies that she left behind, seeing that in their eyes was enough for me to say, I never want to see that look on my family's face, on my mom's face, on everybody. And after she passed away, for the next couple of years, I got really close with my stepmom, and it was after she divorced my dad, and we got really close. We would talk pretty much every day, and we would email back and forth, and it was amazing. She would tell me things about how she struggled with eating disorders, and she struggled with mental health, and she struggled with a lot of things that I was struggling with currently. And she would always tell me things like, girl, your health is going to go downhill fast. Like, trust me, this is going to happen. And at the time I'm like, nah, it's not that bad. I just got a few things, but they're not caused by bulimia, so why would I stop? And she's like, girl, I'm telling you, it's going to catch up with you. And I was like, no, it won't. So we got really, really close, and I started struggling again. I did really, I started trying to do better after my sister passed away, and I was trying to get myself healthy. We moved in with my mom because I was passing out multiple times a day, and we felt that that was unsafe for me to be home alone while Danny was at work. So we moved in with my mom, and over the next year, I started doing a lot better, and it was wonderful. But then after that, the second year after that, I started going really downhill again, and I got to the point of suicidal again. And so this is what happened. I decided where I was gonna do it, what I was gonna do again. I was gonna wait till Danny went to work. My parents were not home at the time, and I knew that they'd be gone all day, so I knew that that was my chance to do it. So it was the 2-year death anniversary of my little sister, January 4th. It was 2 years exactly since she passed away that I was planning to do it. And that day, again, I got another phone call. And the phone call this time was that my stepmom had passed away. And she passed away exactly 2 years after her daughter did, and she died of a broken heart, literally. So obviously, again, I went to her funeral and saw, it was painful for me because we'd gotten so close, and seeing the pain in her children that were still alive and her family, seeing the pain in all of their eyes, and just also seeing the two little babies that were my little sisters, and seeing them 2 years ago at her funeral, and now seeing them at their grandma's funeral, it again motivated me to not. And so I did not, thankfully. It's scary. Suicide's a very scary thing. I understand that. I understand that sometimes you don't feel like you can go on, and sometimes you don't feel like people might be better off without you. That is the biggest trick that the devil plays on you. That is not true. Nobody in the world would be better off without you. I don't care how stressful your life is. I don't care how problematic you are or annoying you are or whatever. Nobody wants you dead. I promise. That would be very painful for your family. So please keep that in mind. If you don't have family, whatever your family is, the most important thing to you, even if that's your cat wouldn't even get fed. So, then there were a couple times after that where, again, I was planning to do something, and then something would get in the way, and something would come up right the day that I was supposed to do it, something that was more important, and something that, caused me to have a lot of grief and remember what it was like in the past, seeing the pain in people's eyes. I'd convinced myself that I was going to die young. I didn't think I'd make it to 30, and then I didn't think I'd make it to 35, but I'm here, hey-o. So one night, I believe it was like 5 years ago, I was purging. It was the middle of the night. That's when I would purge so that my husband and my parents wouldn't hear me, because I had fallen back into it, sadly. And I was purging one night, and at the time, I stupidly, I mean, all purging is stupid, but I used a toothbrush to gag myself. And never in the 2 decades almost at the time of experience with purging had anything happened with the toothbrush. Like, it had never scratched me to the point of fresh blood coming up. I had never swallowed it before. It's never choked me before. I've never had any issues with it. But for some reason, I did. Somehow my throat got a hold of that toothbrush and swallowed it. And it completely blocked my airway. My airway was already swollen because of all the purging that I would do, and I could barely breathe. And I remember 10 seconds of it. I remember the first 5 seconds. Literally, they say this in movies, but it's true. My whole life flashed before my eyes. How did I get here? The abuse that I went through, the bullying that I went through, the eating disorders, the depression, the suicide attempts, deaths of loved ones, marriage problems. By the way, we almost got divorced. Like, all the hard stuff went through my head. It was like a slideshow of the hard stuff I had gone through. And then the second 5 seconds of that 10 seconds, I had a vision of Danny finding me on the bathroom floor, dead, with puke everywhere and a toothbrush down my throat. And I truly believe that it was like me seeing the future. I know that might sound crazy. I'm telling you, I feel like that was God's way of being like, this is what's going to happen if you don't do something. So I said a little prayer inside, which I didn't do very much for myself at the time. And not somehow, by the grace of God, I reached in, and as you can see, my mouth is really small. So this is how far I can get my fist in. That's it. I can go in that far. Somehow, miraculously, I was able to fit all my fingers, my fist, everything, and go down and pull out that toothbrush. And I just remember feeling grateful that I survived, which is crazy, because I was like, at first it was like, oh, this is how I'm gonna go. But then I was like, no, wait, I can't leave Danny, I can't leave my mom, I can't do blah. And it was the next day that I decided to start my YouTube channel. So I did. I started talking about the consequences of eating disorders. I started talking about educating people. My name is Educating Shanny, capital ED for eating disorder. I thought that was clever. I started to try to educate people on it so that kids don't fall into the same thing that I did, because I almost died in more ways than just one. Hi, I have classes now. Okay, continue. So I really wanted to have some sort of a purpose with my YouTube channel that would help people out there. I fell in love with Colleen Ballinger on YouTube, aka Miranda Sings, and I realized, she's got a really big following of like teenage age girls, and I was like, what if I could create some sort of platform that I could help teenagers out there, not just girls, boys too, or even adults that are struggling with this, or people that are just thinking, oh, I'm just gonna start purging, I'm just gonna start starving, and like try and reach them and warn them before it happens, and share my story and share everything bad that happened to me because of my eating disorder. And then also share I'm a very open book. I've shared pretty much my entire story detailed in videos from time to time, of what I went through, because I think it's important to connect with other people and realize that everyone has hard things. I know you're going through something hard right now. Everybody is. And sometimes the level gets really hard. Sometimes it's okay and manageable, but everybody goes through something. And I just love that I was able to create this platform on YouTube where I could connect people from all around the world. There's almost 90,000 of us that get together and encourage each other, and they encourage me in the comments of my videos, and they help each other in the comments, and they connect on our live streams like I was saying before. It's a really, really cool thing, and I'm so proud of it. And when I started my journey on YouTube, is when things started getting hard. So one day I was standing in my bathroom looking in the mirror, and all of a sudden all this stuff started like coming to my head. People were trying to warn me, you're gonna not be able to have kids. You're gonna lose your ability to poop on your own. You're gonna lose your teeth. You're gonna lose relationships. You're not gonna be able to do anything because your body is gonna fall apart and you're gonna die. And I guess I just thought that because I got away with it for so long that maybe it wouldn't actually happen. But then I was looking in the mirror one day and I realized all those things were actually happening. I had barely been told that when I had to go to the hospital, and that's when they diagnosed me with gastroparesis, which is where you can't poop on your own anymore. So cool. And then they also told me during that I couldn't have children. They said I had a 1% chance, and because I had done too much damage to my body through my eating disorders and paired with my endometriosis, that I couldn't have kids anymore. My anemia was severe to the point that it was dangerous. Like, I could have died many times. And that never gets easy to show that. I'm not a crier, but that always makes me well up inside. I know that these are just teeth. They're just insignificant little tiny piece of my body. There are people out there who have lost limbs and people who have lost way more than what I have. But for me, these teeth, not only was it the most excruciatingly painful thing I've ever been through, and I have been through a lot of pain. I have so many health problems, so many surgeries, so many problems, so many side effects, so many medications, so many doctors and hospitals. Like, I've been sick pretty much my whole life with something or another, and I felt excruciating pain, and nothing came close to the pain of losing my teeth. It represents everything for me. It represents all the hard stuff I've gone through, and it also represents that I could come out of it. Your world is whatever you choose to make it. I'll never have a normal life because of all this, but I can make the best out of it and do what I know would help me and help others. The biggest lesson that I've learned, and maybe you can apply it to your own life, is that no matter what you're struggling with, whether it's a mental problem or a physical problem or a work problem, or maybe you're gay and you're having a hard time coming out problem, maybe you're being bullied at school, maybe you're going through a divorce, maybe you had a miscarriage, whatever hard thing you're going through, for me, and I've practiced this and it works for me personally, get out of my own head, get out of thinking about my own problems and help somebody else. And that's what you can do too. You can volunteer, you can call somebody every day instead of doing bad things to yourself or stressing about whatever trial you're going through. You could just call somebody and ask them how they're doing and talk to them for an hour and let them talk and try and help them through it. Try and encourage them and love them and just be there for them. Service, in my opinion, like that, especially personal service like that, connecting with people on that level is, in my opinion, the best way to get over your problems. Because every time I have somebody tell me, oh my gosh, you saved my life today, I was gonna kill myself, but then you talked to me and now I'm not going to anymore, so thank you. Oh my gosh, because of you I told my mom that I need help, so now I'm going to treatment. Oh my gosh, because of you I didn't kill myself last night and I wanted to cut myself but I didn't, and thank you for doing that. And then they would thank me and it would calm that thing inside of me, like, oh my gosh, look what I just did. I got out of my own problems that I've been so caught up in my entire freaking life, and start helping other people, and it makes you encouraged and it inspires you to help yourself more. And obviously it's just really important to practice self-care too, because it's really hard to help other people if you don't care about yourself at all, as I'm sure a lot of you moms out there know. And I have mad respect for all the moms in the world. That's the hardest job ever, especially right now during quarantine. Oh my gosh, how are you guys surviving? I'm not gonna say that I'm grateful that I don't have children, but I'm grateful I don't have children, because just kidding, because I don't think I could homeschool. I don't even know how to do basic math. I failed at school. I hate school anyway. So props to all you moms out there that are doing homeschool, or just the moms in general. Moms are awesome. Women are so awesome and powerful, and so are men. And I love all of you. I love all the women and all the men and all the kids and all the old people and all the cats. and butterflies and birds. Those are my birds upstairs that have been chirping this whole time, sorry. A year ago for the Reason to Stand conference, we went up to Weber High School, and it was the first high school that I've ever spoken at, and I was terrified. I was afraid that I was gonna get up there on that stage in front of 1,100 high school students, and they were gonna make fun of me, and they were gonna laugh at me when I took my teeth out, and they were gonna, you know, but once I got up there, I was so nervous, and once I got up there and I was talking to them, it was like, oh, wait, is this my purpose a little? Because like I just fell into it, and I was like, wait, this feels right. I think I'm meant to help young people for the rest of my life. I can't be a mom. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. It's probably not gonna happen, but what can I do? I can try and help these young people, and those young people last year were glued to me. They didn't make fun of me. They weren't on their phones. They weren't being disrespectful. They were glued to my story and dead silent when I whipped out my teeth. And some of them were crying. And after the conference, I was told by their counselors that 2 people had gone to the office and said, I have an eating disorder and I need help. So even those 2 people was enough for me to be like, that's so worth it. But what's really cool, I want to share this little quick video with you, was that at the end, I did something special, and we can't do that this conference, so I'll just show you what it was. So in my YouTube videos, every time I end a video or a live stream, I say the same thing at the end, which is, you are beautiful, you are worth it, and I am too. And so I asked 1,100 high school students to say my sign-off saying, and this is the video I go back and watch if I'm feeling low, or if I'm feeling like I can't do anything and I have no purpose and I suck and I hate myself. This is the video I go watch. Okay, we're here at a Reason to Stand conference, and we're here at Weber High School. And we have one thing to say to you guys. Ready? You are beautiful. You are worth it. That's a dream come true. When I started that saying, which I think was my first or second video, I always pictured someday, I'm gonna hear a bunch of teenagers say that, and they did, and it just melted my heart forever. And I'll never forget that experience, and I can't wait to go and speak at more high schools now. Yeah, thank you again, Ashlee, for inviting me back to do this, and thank you so much for the other stories. If you're watching this on my channel, please go click the link below and go and leave some comments on the other speeches as well. These stories are incredible, and I promise you, you'll be inspired after hearing these people's stories. I don't know how they survived what they did. So I love these ladies so much, and I'm so honored to be a part of this. And just remember that you've got it in you, and even when things feel like they're at the shittiest, the crappiest, even when you feel like you're at the poopiest, crappiest, oh no, suck time, just know someday, if you get through it, if you fight, if you choose to fight, someday it's gonna pay off. You might think that things can't get better, but they can. I've proven some things wrong. They told me I couldn't get pregnant, and I did. I got pregnant about a year ago. I did miscarry, but at least I got pregnant after being told that that wasn't gonna happen. And then I was told I was never gonna be able to poop on my own again, and then I did. And then I was told by my inner voices, you're never gonna recover from your eating disorder. And now look at me, I'm 104 days recovered, no eating disorder behaviors. So don't give up. And this has been a long 35-year process for me. So don't give up. No matter how long you've been trying, keep trying until you get it right. And you're gonna be the biggest, awesomest, strong ass woman or man that can take on any new trial that can be sent your way. I love you guys so much. Please leave a comment below, and please go support the other speakers as well. So we will see you next time for this conference. I'm excited. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the entire conference, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful day and staying super safe in quarantine. Please keep washing your hands. Please follow whatever the leaders are telling you to do. It's better to be safe than sorry. Even if you think it's stupid, just follow what they're telling you to do. and stay safe. And hopefully in the fall, we can do a conference in person and I can hopefully meet and hug some of you. So we'll see. But anyway, I love you guys. Remember forever and always that you are beautiful, you are worth it, and I am too.